Joe Biden really just did go on TV once again and told the same lies of beheaded babies. Even though the last time he did that, a US spokesperson had to come out and say he saw no such photos. He also says that the IOF is trying to give Al-Shifa Hospital incubators, which I'm sure you've already seen this very staged photo of an IOF soldier pretending to put an incubator in the back of a van. What's wild about this is Al-Shifa Hospital has incubators. They actually took babies out of incubators because they need fuel.
With no oxygen supplies left in the hospital, doctors at Al-Shifa have been forced to remove premature babies from their incubators. The cries of Gaza's most vulnerable, huddled together, wrapped in foil and blankets to keep them warm.
Meanwhile, that doesn't stop the IOF from posting staged photos. I mean, please take a look at this one. A soldier standing in front of a bunch of boxes labeled medical supplies. In English. Shifa's emergency supervisor says we have not received any of what Israel claims about baby milk or incubators. But I think the most unhinged thing I've seen today has to be this video.
You are not alone, and no one should be made to fight alone. I think that when we think about people who right now are being attacked because of who they are, what they look like, where they pray, who they love, that we all have to stand and speak out and say that a harm against any one of us is a harm against all of us. And these are moments that call on all of us to say, it's my responsibility to stand up in support of that person, and say, we're all in this together.
Have the freedom to live, to worship, and to be without fear of violence or persecution.
Well, well, well. If it isn't the same people who have been fueling Islamophobic, anti-Muslim, anti-Arab, anti-Palestinian sentiments over the past 3 weeks as their government has supplied the bombs and the money for Israel to continue conducting its genocide in Gaza. Before I continue, let's listen to a little bit more of this address.
And today, we take another important step forward in our fight against hate. For years, Muslims in America and those perceived to be Muslim have endured a disproportionate number of hate-fueled attacks. As a result of the Hamas terrorist attack in Israel and the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, we have seen an uptick in anti-Palestinian, anti-Arab, anti-Semitic, and Islamophobic incidents.
So you're telling me that in a national address to announce this new national security plan to combat Islamophobia, or whatever they're calling it, it took them 1 minute and 50 seconds, more than halfway through the video, before they actually say the word Muslim. This is the first time she said it. That was 1 minute and 50 seconds in. And then, immediately, they attribute a rise in anti-Muslim, anti-Arab, and anti-Palestinian attacks to what? To Hamas, to the Hamas attacks. So basically, in this address, to combat Islamophobia, or to announce this huge national initiative to do so, literally, they are blaming the rise in anti-Muslim and anti-Arab attacks on Arabs and Muslims. They're not blaming it on the bullshit rhetoric that we've seen from the Biden administration, perpetuating Muslims and Arabs as these savages and beasts and unhuman animals, or whatever they've been calling us. No, it's not that that's contributed to a 6-year-old Palestinian American boy being killed, or a Muslim woman in Texas being stabbed to death while she was sitting in her apartment complex. No. They're announcing a whole initiative, allegedly, to protect us from anti-Muslim attacks, and then blaming those attacks on us. This is just some bullshit attempt by the Biden administration to save their asses after promoting genocide and promoting Islamophobia over the past 3 weeks, because now they've seen that Muslim voters, Arab voters, and progressive voters on the left, and just generally people of conscience and your average Democrats, are saying that we're not going to vote for Biden come next year because of what he did in Palestine. And now they're freaking out. Even in their attempts to pretend that they care about us, they still blamed us for our own oppression. So don't be fooled by this. We know where they stand.
do a pause, if you do a ceasefire, people die.
Are these children not people to you? This is Kareem. He was literally counting down the days until his birthday, and he couldn't make it. I don't understand how you can say something so evil.
I think it's funny how, out of all people, Mr. War Criminal Barack Obama, out of everyone, is telling us that we, the civilians, have blood on our hands because we're advocating for Palestine and for Palestinians, and we're calling for a free Palestine and for a ceasefire. Meanwhile, he bombed the Middle East into oblivion when he was in office.